It's that time, our LG V30 Plus review is here. The last few years have not been kind to LG. They've had decent flagships, but haven't really managed to leave a mark. They've tried new things, curved displays, secondary displays, modularity, but pricing and availability issues have plagued the brand. While the V30 Plus is most definitely late to the party, LG has kind of played it safe this time around. So, is this a step in the right direction? Does the V30 Plus offer enough to be your next phone? Let's find out in today's video. But before we do, if this is your first time here or if life's too good for you to remember little things like YouTuber names, my name's Ash, this is C4E Tech, you're watching our full review of the LG V30 Plus. If you do end up liking it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Let's now get started. So before we start, here's the answer to a very common question. What's the plus in V30 Plus stand for? It's simple, it stands for storage, 64 gigs extra. The V30 Plus has 128 gigs of storage, double what's found on the V30. Barring that, it's all the same. So now with that out of the way, let's start with the build and design. Here's where I feel LG's finally decided to play it safe. After different experiments to remain unique in the past, LG seems to have given up. But that's not necessarily a bad thing for us end consumers. The end result here is a phone that looks fabulous. Yes, the design's kinda similar to other flagships, we've seen it in the past, but LG has still managed to retain a touch of their own personality here. Like with the power button, for example, it is placed underneath the fingerprint scanner. Now, talking about this back, it is reflective, looks gorgeous, the way it catches light, the curved glass, it all comes together in a nice little glass sandwich package that's held together by a metal rim. It is quite ergonomic too, at least as ergonomic as phones with slippery glass backs can be. It's fairly light, weighing in at less than 160 grams. The 75.4mm width means it's easy on the hand, and LG's pulled all this off while adding support for fast wireless charging, water and dust resistance in the form of an IP68 ingress protection rating, and it's even military standard drop tested. And by the way, for your peace of mind, LG India does offer a one-time screen replacement for free for the first 6 months. Talking about screen replacements, let's talk about display. So what should a good flagship display be? Well, 18:9 is a necessity these days. OLED, that's something we seem to like a lot too. High resolution, punchy colors, good brightness levels for easy use outdoors, and of course, the latest version Gorilla Glass protection. Now the V30 Plus checks all these boxes. LG's gone for a 6-inch 18:9 OLED panel with a Quad HD Plus resolution. The high resolution is welcome here given that the V30 Plus is Google Daydream ready, so there's already a slew of content out there for VR and 360-degree video aficionados, so you can consume all that. And the display, on the flip side, does exhibit some discoloration when viewed off axis, but it's minimal and nothing to worry about. Overall, the display, the build, LG's done quite well here. It's not just that though, unlike the G6, which came out with a Snapdragon 821 at a time where other flagships were touting 835, the V30 Plus sports a Snapdragon 835 chip. Just like every other flagship out there, making this a much more competitive offering than LG's last flagship. 4 gigs of RAM, now that does feel a little low. It pales in comparison to what's found on other flagships, and our speed test results also show that LG should have probably thrown in at least a couple of extra gigs, but for day-to-day usage, 4 gigs of RAM is still plenty. I rarely notice an app reload outside of testing scenarios, so unless you are a very intensive user who jumps between big games a lot, this shouldn't realistically be an issue. 128 gigs of storage is also plenty given that there's even an option to expand it via microSD. Given the stellar hardware underneath, the V30 Plus had no issues running anything we threw at it, slicing through games like a hot knife through butter. With day-to-day usage, the user experience was excellent. Now, I've said this many a time in the past. LG's custom interface is not my favorite. It is a little rough around the edges, but LG has been working on it, paying attention to the little things. Like for example, one of the issues I had with the interface back when I was reviewing the Q6 was that forcing apps to scale to the 18:9 display was a lot harder than it was on, say, a Samsung phone. Now this is something LG has elegantly fixed with a 4-scale shortcut on the navigation bar. By the way, this is Android Nougat and LG promises a quick update to Oreo soon. Regular LG features like the ability to customize the on-screen navigation bar, themes to customize the look and feel of the interface, double tap to sleep, double tap to wake, they're all present and accounted for. And for fans of the secondary display of the V series, LG's provided a floating bar. Think of it as LG's take on Samsung's Edge screen functionality. In my time with the V30 Plus, I couldn't help but feel it's a lot less resource intensive than Samsung's implementation. Well, it is no secondary display. I was never a fan of the secondary display being right up top, big display, having to go up there to access shortcuts. That didn't really feel like the best solution for me. So the fact that this is not fixed to the top of the screen and can be repositioned to a more accessible location, and given that there is OLED tech, there's always support for the always on display functionality as well. So it's kind of a compromise, and I don't think it's a real bad thing here. Anyway, given the great performance, large and bright display along with the stellar hardware underneath, how does the 3300 mAh battery inside fare? Very well actually. On each of the 7 days that I used this phone as my primary device, the V30 Plus had no issues getting me through the day. Well, on 6 of those days at least. On one day I did need to plug it in towards the end of the evening, but that was an exception. I had to drive to Bangalore for a OnePlus event, so my day started at 5 a.m. and involved over an hour and a half of GPS usage to navigate insane Bangalore traffic. If you're from Bangalore, let me know. What do you think? Isn't your traffic insane? Much worse than Chennai at least. Anyway, a lot of images shot along the way and at the event, but barring that one instance of very intense usage, the V30 Plus did get me through my regular work days on a single charge without breaking a sweat. Note that there is support for Quick Charge 3.0, so you can go from 0 to 50 in about a half an hour if you need to, and there's even support for fast wireless charging. So what else? Oh yeah, LG's thrown in a dedicated 32-bit quad DAC for audiophiles. So, I'm not an audiophile, but if you are one, you should probably love that. Cellular reception and call quality were great too. Audio via the single speaker was clear and loud enough. I'd have loved to see a dual speaker setup, but for what it's worth, it is quite good. And with that, let's get to the USP of this phone. The cameras. The V30 Plus sports a dual camera setup to the back, a primary 16 megapixel sensor with an f1.6 aperture and a secondary 13 megapixel sensor with an f1.9 aperture. There's a wide-angle lens with this sensor that captures images with a whopping 120-degree field of view. The images turned out excellent. It is not often that we get to see wide-angle shots, so these are a sight for sore eyes. And this time around, LG's fixed the barrel distortion too, so images don't seem like they were shot with a fisheye lens or a GoPro anymore. Anyway, the colors are as good as they are with the images shot with the primary camera. There is Auto HDR, which does a great job at triggering HDR when required. Even then, I feel that the dynamic range could have been a tad better. In images like this, there is a significant loss in detail in the shadows, but that is about where the cons end. Everything else about the images shot with the primary camera was great. The images were extremely sharp, definitely among the sharpest ones captured by a smartphone. The detail levels were spectacular. Look at these images. There is no way you're gonna miss out on these details. The colors are a tad oversaturated, but they do look good nonetheless. Given the f1.6 aperture, which as of today is the widest on a smartphone, the background blur aka bokeh is very strong. Under low light, the quality still remains stellar. A lot of the detail is preserved thanks to the presence of optical image stabilization. The shutter speed does go down to 1/10th of a second, leading to moderately bright images. They have minimal noise and good colors. So are you interested to know how this camera fares against the OnePlus 5T's camera? Well, you're gonna have to wait for a full comparison. That's coming soon. It should be out in a couple of days, so do stay subscribed, hit that bell icon to get notified when it goes live. So coming back, the secondary wide-angle camera suffers a bit under low light. It's not nearly as good as the primary camera in these lighting conditions. So unless there is an absolute need to shoot a wider scene, if the lighting isn't very good, I'd suggest you stick to the primary camera. As far as video goes, the V30 Plus can shoot 4K videos at 30 frames per second, and like I've mentioned, there is OIS and it does a great job here. The footage is super stable, the quality too is good, the footage is sharp, there's ample detail and true to life colors. Once again, I do feel the dynamic range could have been a bit better. It is also possible to switch to the secondary camera while recording. This might come in handy in a few situations. LG's done a lot more on the video front. For starters, there is a manual mode for video, which you don't find on a lot of smartphones. There are only 2 other brands that offer it. If you know which brands, let us know in the comments below. Now, you can shoot log footage as well and grade it in post-production. This is something unique to LG, at least for smartphones. Log footage is generally, it has more detail, so you can play around with it a lot more while editing than you could if it was just shot normally. There is also a new cine mode which helps you do things like tap at one part of the video and you can zoom into that particular point smoothly. You can also add LUTs on the camera, on the phone itself, so that kind of gets you a bit of flair for the footage like what you're seeing here. There are 15 of them to choose from, and you can even adjust the strength of the effect while shooting. Cool. The 5 megapixel selfie camera, well, here is the disappointment. It gives you options to choose between 80 or 90 degree fields of view. It's just not good. Selfies would be the weakest part of the V30 Plus package. Now, given how strong the LG V10's selfie game was, I can't help but rue this as a missed opportunity. Anyway, with that said, we now get to price. The V30 Plus is priced at 45,000 rupees in India. Now that's lower than the price tag in the US despite the increase in storage. This means the V30 Plus is priced just 7,000 rupees over the OnePlus 5T with similar storage options, or 6,000 bucks more than the Star Wars edition OnePlus 5T. This kind of makes the V30 Plus the cheapest 835 touring flagship from a tier 1 brand. LG in the past would probably have launched this phone around 60,000 rupees and aggressively cut prices when sales as expected would flounder. Refreshingly, the pricing this time has been very sane, it's been on point. At this price, if you do want a flagship phone from a tier 1 brand, LG for the first time in years has a very well-rounded offering. Even for those who don't necessarily want a phone from a tier 1 brand, if that build and more importantly the level of control the camera provides, especially for videos, if that's something that makes your mouth water, I'm more than happy recommending this phone. This is an absolute stunner from LG. Great job. So that's it for my 2 cents. Do you agree with what I've had to say in this video? Do you have a different take on the V30 Plus? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you do want to pick this phone up, please use the links in the description below. And if you do have friends or family who are interested in the LG V30 Plus or just interested in buying a phone in this price segment, do share this video with them and like it if you like it, dislike it if you disliked it. Subscribe if you want more content like this and hit that bell to turn notifications on so that you know each time we upload something new. And thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this here is Ash from C4E Tech, calling it like I see it. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.